Mihnea.
Hi, Sebastian. Great to see you again, once again from here from Beijing. It is evening here already, but let the discussion continue. And I believe wellness in 2021 is a great topic because we're approaching the end of the year. And I think this is the time when we can reflect on what happened this past year, and we can plan ahead and maybe plan better and wiser to enhance our wellness. But I think before we begin, I think we should make very clear the difference between health and wellness, because there are two different things. Of course, they overlap, but there are two different concepts. Health is basically a state of being, the state of your physical, mental, and social well-being right now in this moment. While wellness, it is actually a state of living a healthy lifestyle, right? So we're talking about a lifestyle, and in wellness, usually the aim is to enhance our well-being. So through wellness, we want to enhance our well-being, which is our definition of health, physical, mental, and social. So from my research and from my understanding, wellness is actually multi-dimensional. And there are 7 or 9 dimensions in health. And I hope that today we will have all the time to discuss all of them. And I would like to add one. So let's see, what are the dimensions of wellness? They are intellectual wellness, emotional wellness, relational, vocational, cultural, spiritual, financial, environmental, and physical. And to these 9 dimensions, I would like to add one more, and maybe we can discuss it at the end: technological wellness. I think it has become very, very important, especially for 2021. So what do you think? Should we start and discuss these elements, these dimensions of wellness?
Of course. But I
All
would
right.
like to ask, do you think we should do substantial changes to achieve wellness, to do these changes around us? Like you enumerate several factors. Do you think we should adjust all these factors in order to achieve wellness?
I think we should first be aware of where we are in the present situation with regards to any or all, or maybe some dimensions, some factors of wellness. And I think ideally we will look at all dimensions, but maybe we can spot one particular dimension that will make a greater impact in our lives in 2021, so that maybe one dimension can improve our life increasingly more, and then maybe we can focus on the other parts of what wellness means. So why don't you start? Tell us, how can we improve, or what is emotional wellness, and what can we look forward to in 2021, and how should we plan
It's
our
good
life?
that you mentioned emotional wellness. If we will base our wellness in emotions, we might likely fail, because emotions, they always drove us into wrong directions. We should use what is called judgment or positive thinking to direct our actions in a constructive way. This is my opinion about emotions. And I think wellness in 2021 is not going to change definition from what we know before of wellness. People, they pass through different situations that we cannot change, we cannot modify, because life means a change, a continuous change. Of course, this change could be a consequence of things that happened previously. People, they should adapt to what life is and to what environment offers in order to flow along this current that is life, that's unchangeable life. So only like this we will be in harmony. One definition of wellness could be I do what I like as long as I'm in harmony with everything that's around me. And therefore, I have a kind of a happiness. And it's good that you mentioned health. Health, it's a positive state of being. If I'm not healthy, I cannot reach I cannot reach wellness. I will be at the age of surviving because my life will be in a very precarious balance. So health will be a priority in reaches this higher state of living, of being, of empowering ourselves with joy, and eventually going on the road of happiness or spirituality.
Wonderful, wonderful said. I think emotional wellness in 2021 should include our ability to master our emotions. We need to learn to be able to master and control and rationalize our emotions. I think it's a very healthy habit, maybe at the end of the day, to sit down in silence, maybe in bed or in a chair before we turn on the TV or Netflix, and audit our emotions. How did I feel today? And also ask ourselves, why did I feel that way? So let's say I was angry today. Why was I angry and what caused that anger? Because obviously anger is a negative emotion and we should try to avoid it as much as possible. Obviously not in cases of force majeure when your life is in danger. But
When your
we
life is in danger, we're no longer speaking of wellness, but surviving.
exactly. So I think if we audit our emotions throughout the day that has passed, I felt angry. Why? I felt sad. Why? I felt happy. Why? We learn maybe to avoid the things that made us sad or improve them and to engage more in the events or in the people that brought us happiness, brought a smile on our face. And I don't think we can ever eliminate conflict from our lives. There will always be conflict. But it is very important to be able to maintain our cool and be able to have a rational discussion with whoever we are having an argument. So I think learning how to master our emotions by first thinking about our processes, our daily life, and then trying to, enhance more the events that brought us happiness.
Wonderful. Thank you. You brought few ideas, and one of them is learning how to master our emotions in 2021. I think we should have started even before learning how to master. So we will face situations with the same calmity as we face non-crisis things. And also, you brought the idea of analyzing or meditating. And it's wonderfully that you put it before going to bed. I think that's a great time when we can reflect upon life. You see, I see wellness, or let's say I see life from a very practical point of view. Experience brought me to a practical path. And I will say during a day, people more or less, they will do four important things. And if these four important things, which is rare, they all go well, that's no reason to be unhappy. I mean, that's full reason to be happy. This is kind of rare because this is ideal. 100% it happens only on paper. But if three or four, they go well, then we have no reason to be unhappy. We should be very happy with our life. If two, they go wrong and two, they go right, that we should ask some questions at that point and see why these two, they didn't go right. But if three or four, they go wrong, that means we are on a wrong path. We should do some major changes to align ourselves with the flow of life, with what's around us, not to be against, to eliminate tensions and frictions. And as you mentioned, conflict. Conflict, it's a state of tension, it's a state of friction. So we understand maybe we are not in the right place. Maybe what we do, what our best is not good enough for the expectation of the people around us. So it's always, I think, a matter of adjusting and small changes and redirecting life.
Another dimension of wellness is intellectual wellness. And this is something that I am both interested and more than interested. I'm fascinated by expanding my intellectual abilities and capabilities and knowledge. And I think that if it's not our goal yet, I hope people in 2021 will strive to learn more, will strive to learn both practical and intellectual things. I mean, there are so many opportunities these days to study online from universities, from top universities in the world, from small courses, inexpensive, free courses, tutorials online. And I think we should strive to learn something new every week, every day, if possible, maybe in our own field. But I would also like to encourage people to tangentially learn more things about a different field or a similar field that they can, they can segue into, because new skills are very important. And what happened in 2020 with this madness around the world, it showed us that we must be prepared to adapt and readapt at a very, very short notice. And many statistics show that students who are now in primary school will do jobs, 60% of the jobs that they will do have not yet been invented. Can you imagine? The jobs that a grade 4 student will do in 18, 20 years time has not yet been invented. And even when we think about it, a few years ago, we did not have social media marketing manager. I'm pretty sure that right now there is a Zoom master, I don't know, what are they called? A Zoom master organizer, someone who sits behind and organizes all the interviews coming in. So these are new skills that people have to learn. So I think that intellectual wellness is very important for the coming future, and that online learning will be able to provide us with all the resources.
It's very interesting that you brought intellect and yet learning. You see, what I see from our cultural yoga point of view, intellect is just one dimension of intelligence. And learning could be done in many, many ways. Intellect, it's only a sharp knife that will go through. Yet cutting things, we do not really learn their nature. We should base upon reflection and upon different ways of learning. That could be body learning, that could be senses, that could be things that were neglected and forgotten. That's why this situation that occurred, it caught such a catastrophic dimension, which was just one thing that happens in life all the time. All the time there are changes. We should go along and understand their nature. Otherwise, we will be caught and trapped into a net of thoughts and panics and fears that will extend endlessly. Of course, now we should extend to learn things all the time, and more likely or more important is to be open to new, never to have a negative attitude. And then the positivity itself bring health improvement, mental improvement, life improvement as well.
So how would you connect this with vocational learning, vocational wellness, which is another dimension of wellness.
And yet, yes, if I refer to your idea before, you said that the children nowadays, they will work into jobs that are not yet invented. I think that any one of us, each of us, should be creative, inventive, and revolutionary and creating his own job or perfecting his own job, personalize it, give it new direction, new rotation. So only like this we can distinguish ourselves, let's say, where we can make ourselves notice, we can not survive, but we can reach wellness, and by being inventive, by being creative, and not basing on what it is, but starting something new. And this probably is the contribution of each of us, young or old, to be creative. We live in a world where the human race distinguishes itself by creativity. That makes us specials among all the species in the world. Our capacity of thinking, our intelligence. So we should use it. We should identify with this and go on and go forth. And of course, live in harmony, as I said, with life.
The way I see vocational learning, the way I see vocational wellness involves our ability to engage in a skill. You know, because doing something with your own hands gives you more than just, you know, the practicality of having to, you know, do something, but gives you a pleasure of having a product that you made yourself. And I think it's important that we discuss intellectual wellness, which gives us theoretical knowledge about our field of, you know, study or our field of research or our job. But it's important to also have practical knowledge, to be able to do things. And this became a big focus for me in 2020. This year, I really improved my vocational skills because I moved from Thailand to China a few years ago, actually 2 years ago, almost 3 years ago. And here in China, I had to do small things by myself, like set up my studio, fix something in the house, fix something in the kitchen. In Thailand, because I spoke the language, I lived there for a very long time, I knew many people, I would just call someone and say, come and fix this, or come and do this for me. And I would just go have a coffee and then come back and everything is fixed for me. But here in China, sometimes it takes me 1 or 2 or 3 days to figure out how to solve a certain like practical problem. And I am planning to continue next year to improve my skills in doing things, because I think having intellectual capabilities and theoretical knowledge is important, but also being able to do practical things is sometimes even more important.
What you said, Mihnea, it's wonderfully true. So you get involved with life itself. You use everything and your strategy of living to improve your life, to improve the basis of your life, to be constructive on many levels. And also, as you said, that being open and doing things will allow us to learn more, to learn in a different way, to learn physically, to use the body intelligence. And this is happening. And also this body intelligence combined with our mind capacities could create a wonderful symbiosis, could lead us to know ourselves better. Knowing ourselves better, it's continuous improvement. As you said, continuous new learnings. New learnings is maybe seeing the same old things in a different way, maybe opening new windows, new doors to the same old thing, that we can do it, take it, perfect it more and more. And also, I would like to say that uh, you have one way of putting things very nice, and I observe that you always get involved with the culture. You
Mm.
mentioned Thailand, you mentioned China. I see now you're doing Chinese traditional painting.
Yes, I'm hard at work on improving my brush skills. And actually, you can see them behind me. You can see the
Yes,
snap
yes.
painting. And you know, this is a vocational art and a vocational skill, because not to brag or anything, but even Chinese people tell me that, you know, this is very difficult even for us to do. So I was very pleasantly surprised by and humbled by the feedback that I'm getting on my art, although I know it's not perfect, although I know it's not at a level of like artistic, uh, aesthetic perfection, but people appreciate it. And it's something that I learned here in China. And to be honest, it is not easy to use a brush with that's very, very soft,
Okay.
because you press too hard and you splattered too much ink on the paper. So it is a skill, and actually I didn't even think about it, but yes, yes.
Wonderful, wonderful. So actually, maybe it's a way of learning the culture, the new culture that you are emerged with. And then I think that will help you a lot to develop skills that are adapted. I mean, to bring your profession into this new environment and to mold it on the culture there is there locally. And this is very important to see new ways of doing our thing in a different environment, in a different form. That should be the same essence, but as energy is just a flow of a material, what could be a gas or something. That's also we redirect ourselves into a new environment, and we learn how to flow along with the course of life and the course of things that happen. This is a vocation in itself, and I think every one of us should possess this vocation at adapting to life, to what life is, and to what environment is, to what nature is, and what we can do to change things, to improve things, and not to create any conflict, but on the contrary, by our constructive effort and our constructive contribution to to improve things, and then things will function. Life itself, it will improve for all of us and for the world we live in.
So true, so true. To move on, although I am not a financial advisor and I do not pretend to be one, I think 2020 has shown us that financial wellness has to be a focus for everyone next year. There have been many tragedies this year where people lost their jobs and had to rely on their savings and had to, you know, live on a tight budget. So I think if we learned anything from 2020, that would be to save more, maybe spend less, and be more thoughtful in what we spend money on. I think we should spend money on things that enhance our well-being, that, you know, move our life forward, make it easier or make it more uh, you know, fuller, make it more rewarded than just spending mindlessly on things that are fashionable or just to, you know, to show off or to brag. And you know, a few months ago I was involved in a heated conversation online with regards to retirement. I made a comment how I'm I'm 10 years into my retirement plan, and I have 20 more years to work until I reach my retirement age and my retirement plan matures. And some people, not that I care, some people were like making like comments in the way that, oh, like, why do you worry so much about retirement so early? I think it is a big mistake for us not to plan for the near and far future, especially when it comes to finances, because we never know what's going to happen in a few years' time. So being more aware maybe of our finances should be a goal for 2021. What do you think?
I'm nowhere near a financial advisor. What I can say, it's you mentioned spending. Well, I think this crisis hit more on people. They were trying to live someone else's life. They were trying to show an image that's completely fake, a persona, a mask, and yet now they have masks. Well, it's what can I say? We should dedicate ourselves to our own way of being. If we spend money wisely. We spend money in things, as you said, that could bring us enhancement, that could build us more, build our work, build our personality, bring happiness to ourselves and our family. Not trying to acquire material things and which most of the time are useless. They're just a display of goods that will create a false image of wealth and power, whatever people they are looking for. Wealth itself means to be in harmony. And wealth is a very important dimension of our living in a society, but we should be aware of a bigger things, bigger dimension. If sometimes people may have hard time in dealing, maybe it's not the right place where they are. Maybe they are not made to live in a city. Maybe they should move to the country. Maybe they should do something to adjust themselves into an environment where they can function or change profession or whatever. It's good to be worried about the future, as you said. And I think future means tomorrow will be a day that will roll as a consequence of what we do today. So every day we should orient our efforts into this constructive, into this path of ours, keeping with the path, doing the right thing that will bring us to a right future, to a great future. Also, we have to understand the way of life. So we are not eternal. So we should enjoy our life every day. Every day should be a celebration of the first thing that we are alive and healthy. And then being with our loved ones, with the family, and then doing what's wonderful for us, what gives us joy and pleasure of life. This could be a short definition of wealth from this point of view of wellness, from the point of view of wealth. Spending the money in a very, it's like the money will be like a lubricant of all our actions. Otherwise, there will always be a conflict, an internal conflict, and people, they will be frustrated. This frustration, I think it's the worst enemy in our society. What do you think?
I think, you know, as we both said, we're not financial advisors, and I want this to be very clear to our audience. But I think we speak from our own experience and from what we see around us. But since we've started collaborating on this podcast, I've read more on your project on Tai Chi International, and I've listened to your podcast and to your work, and I've noticed that you focus a lot on spirituality. And you mention spirituality quite a lot in your videos and in your interviews. What does spirituality, what is wellness, what is the dimension of being spiritual should mean for us in 2021?
2021, 2020, spirituality stays the same. Spirituality, it's a liberation. As wellness, it's an evolution from the surviving state. Spirituality, it's evolving into something that's much more light. we give up many unnecessary things. We disconnect ourselves with heaviness of life and we become spiritual. But also there's two ways, for me, there's two ways of coming from, let's say, from wellness to something else. One could be what's called happiness in family. That's very nice to have a family, to enjoy your children, the wife, and everything. That could be a happy life. Also, spirituality demands some sacrifices because that's an intense work. And then this work has wonderful results that can improve the life of many, many people or just the life itself altogether. So spirituality for me, as I said, it's a liberation. It's a trying, you see, Tai Chi looks immaterial. Just yesterday I had a course and the first thing that I was trying to show to people was how to balance ourselves. And they said, you move like a ballet dancer. You're a ballet dancer. I said, I'm not. I just managed to to transfer my weight on one leg while I'll move the other leg or something like this to balance myself in a certain way that might look gracious, but it's not a skill of dancer. It's just learned art of balancing myself. And this is not only physical.